guys already know this is the main one tapping in all the way from H-Town, Houston, Texas. I'm here with my boy T.A.G.
T.A.G.
T.A.G sucks.
T.A.G, very nice, very evil.
T.A.G's gonna kill you.
That's T.A.G shit.
Whose house? T.A.G's house, baby.
The only thing we're gonna do is take over, baby.
Oh, it's true. It's damn true.
Free fall as I die through the kaleidoscope in my mind. No rope up to climb. Gotta remind myself that I'm fine. Mama.
What it is, what it was, and what it do, T.A.G Nation. It is your boy, the commit Scoot D'Angelo here. And I'm here to bring you another episode of that NXT.A.G. And hey, we are officially in a new era of NXT. So if y'all didn't know, Blake Monroe, Ricky Saints, and Fatal Attraction. I keep wanting to call them Toxic Attraction. No, Fatal Influence. I keep wanting to call them Toxic Attraction. Jesus, that is the old name. Fatal Influence, Ricky Saints, and Blake Monroe are now officially SmackDown. Ethan Page, Solo Ruka. I think that was it. They are officially Raw. So, you know, we're getting into this new era. You know, that those are some main stars gone. Called up, main roster bound. So, what are we doing now? And pretty much there was a little segment with Bloom, Stone, and HBK, and they was pretty much talking about, hey, now's the chance that we pretty much give everybody opportunities, you know what I'm saying? In the words of HBK, you know, you just throw a stick of dynamite in the locker room and see who comes running out. So the doors are wide open for anybody to be a star now, which is kind of interesting that usually when they kind of take talent from NXT, there's still some transitional people to kind of still give that superstar power. And not saying none of the people don't have superstar power, but this is one of the rare times where they didn't leave a superstar. No, I forgot. Joe Hendry is officially on Raw as well. They literally was like, hey, take them all, and let's literally almost start NXT ground up. So, and this is episode 1 of this new era, and this is also a send-off as well, and we'll get to that to the main event. But your first match of the night, Miles Bourne is defending his North American Championship against Dark State's Saquon Sugars. Now, this is a retaliation to the miscommunication of last week when Dark State was trying to help Dion Lennox win the North American Championship, and Saquon, for reasons, tried to get in the ring and everything, and it's just, yeah, it led to Miles retaining. So Saquon so-called goes to Robert Stone to be like, hey, it wasn't supposed to go down this way, blah, 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 blah. But some way how Saquon wound up with a title shot. And here we are. And it was a pretty good back and forth match. Now, of course, if y'all ever hear me, therefore by us, do reviews, this didn't feel like a title change. This felt like more to further the Dark State thing that's going on. And lo and behold, it does happen. Dion does interfere. And then when the other two was getting the ref's attention, Dion tries to get a chair to hit Miles. Of course, the ref sees it, and Miles pushes Saquon into Dion, gets Saquon back in the ring, and you know how Johnny Gargano hits his rope assisted one final beat DDT? That's how Miles did with Saquon. He hit his top rope assisted Born Again, and 1, 2, 3, Miles Bourne retains. and of course they leave. Then we get a debut in Tristan Angels, and he's in the crowd. He's pretty much saying, I think he said he was from London, if I remember correctly, and he's pretty much talking about how, you know, him being new to NXT and, you know, trying to take over and all of these things. All the while he's talking, Cam Hendricks gets in the ring, beats up on Miles Bourne, and he was like, yeah, you know, he didn't grab a mic, but he was pretty much saying, you know, he's kind of like Mr. I get it done kind of energy. So yeah, so there you go. Two guys from the Evolve LFG era, Tristan Angels and Cam Hendricks are at NXT. Then we get a little segment where Ren was back there talking to Kendall, and they're pretty much talking about you know, the shakeups and things that's happening. And Kalani happens to be behind Kendall. And I really do love how, like, in NXT, so many matches in NXT happens because somebody was eavesdropping on a conversation. Because Kalani was in Kendall and Ren's business, she took umbrage to them talking, and it was like, oh, well, y'all need to get and I know I could beat you, Kendall, and you know the same way I made and it was like, if you wasn't ear hustling, this wouldn't be happening. But from that, it does lead to Kalani and Ren later on in the evening, and it wasn't for the Speed Championship, it was just a regular one-on-one match. But yeah, so many matches in NXT happen because somebody or somebody's is ear hustling, and they just like, oh, that's how you feeling? Well, we're gonna fight tonight. No, stop being nosy. How about that? Mind your damn business. But yeah, then we get Tony D'Angelo coming out, and he defended his championship against Ethan Page in NXT Revenge Week 1, and he's pretty much, you know, uttering the same sentiment of, hey, you know, I got people coming for you, boy, left and right. He's like, what's up? Then the lights drop, music hits, and then eventually we get this gentleman here. Now, for your New Japan Pro Wrestling fans, this man is known as Evil. He is a former IWGP Heavyweight Champion. They never said his name, so I'm going to assume he's not going to go by Evil. So it's going to be interesting to see what his official name is going to be because they never gave a name. But he pretty much goes out there and he hands Tony, I don't know if it was a shirt or what, but the symbol he had on the box that was given to Tony D was on the shirt, and he just leaves. Pretty much kind of letting people in NXT know that, hey, I'm here, and, you know, I kind of want to be next up. And as he's leaving, which we'll still call him Evil, excuse me, because tentatively that's what we know him as. Tavion Heights come in and his spinning belly-to-belly suplex on Tony D. And then I don't know who the guy who came in after, but he comes in. He's a bigger gentleman. He hits a moonsault on Tony D. And it was like, I mean, Vic was like, is this a fan or something? Which, you know, it wouldn't have been a fan because I think I would have rushed the ring or cut the feed if it was. But I don't know who the gentleman who attacked Tony D with the moonsault, because sorry, I haven't watched LFG or Evolve, so he could have been in one of them. And if he's an indie talent, once again, I am sorry, but I'm pretty sure next week or whatever, we're gonna find out who that was. But yeah, people coming out left and right. Then we get a segment of Tatum and Shiloh. They're pretty much at Blake Monroe's grave, and they're kind of putting the dirt in the hole, and pretty much saying that, you know, that chapter is done kind of energy. So, and then Shiloh was like, yeah, because, you know, I got an important match too, because he is taking on Ricky Saints in the main event. Then the next match, we get Birthrights, Stacks, and Uriah Connors taking on EK Prosper and Tyson Van Duth. But Birthright gets in the ring, shows that they took out his name is not Tyson. Sorry, it's Dorian Van Duth. And they pretty much show that they beat down Dorian. And now, EK still comes out there and they fight. And then Sean Legacy's music hits. And Sean Legacy is EK's partner now. So there you go. And I'm trying to remember. I really did forget who won this match. Because I know Birthright did a bunch of interfering and their whole little tactics, but I feel like EK and Legacy did get the dub. And as soon as they got the dub, Birthright started jumping on them. And another debuting person from Evolve, Tate Wilder, shows up and pretty much kind of evens the odds. Then we get a segment of him with Stone kind of welcoming him into NXT and everything. So Tate Wilder, part of the NXT roster now. He's called up from Evolve. Then we get a segment of the ladies once again chilling in the back. All of a sudden, I think Jada was talking with Thea, and then Callie Armstrong comes back there and was like, "Yeah, but I bet I could beat your ass," kind of energy to Jada. And once again, it's like, why are you ear hustling? Jada and Thea was having them a nice little conversation to themselves in front of the camera, but to themselves. And here come Callie Armstrong starting shit, talking about, "Yeah, I'm gonna be top dog around here, but first I gotta take out Jada." And then Jada gets up like, "Hey, it's all 50 Cent meme. Fuck I do to you?" Jada was like, "Well, what I do to you?" And then, they get into it, and it was pretty much shouting. And next week, Callie Armstrong, Jada Parker. But once again, if Callie would have been minding her business, this wouldn't have happened. Granted, she wanted this to happen, but still, it wouldn't have happened because once again, Jada and Thea was having them a conversation in front of the camera, and you was being nosy. People in NXT are nosy. And then we get a exciting announcement from Shawn Michaels. Starting this summer, NXT PLEs will be on the CW. And they did not go into more details. So, starting this summer, so most likely the next PLE, which they haven't announced yet, but most likely the next PLE for the foreseeable future, they will all be on the CW. They didn't say if they're going to convert Tuesdays to their PLEs or they're going to still do the PLEs on Saturdays and Sundays, Saturday or Sunday. Or they just announced that for now, NXT PLEs will be on the CW whenever they run them. So there y'all go. Then Lola comes to the ring, and Lola is pretty much, taking umbrage to Izzy Dame attacking her. And then we get Sean Spears popping on the screen and pretty much saying, "Look, the culling is always going to be the culling by far. Ergo, Izzy is going to be ahead because, you're not paying attention. You're not, watching your back." And she turns around. Izzy and Nico are there. And then Mr. Iguana, her AAA mixed tag team champ partner, comes from under that ring and even the odds. And, Mr. Iguana, Layeska, and Lola Vice gets the upper hand on the culling. So, and I think they did make a match for next week. Mr. Iguana and Lola Vice is taking on Nico Vance and Izzy Dame. So there you go. Dark State segment is back there, and pretty much Dion and Saquon are arguing about, Saquon is saying Dion did it on purpose. Dion is like, "Man, you tripping." They barking on each other, and then finally Cutler and Osiris was like, "Hey, obviously your plan and your plan isn't working. So we going back to the ways we were. And the first thing we did was win them tag team championships. And that's what we gonna do. So it seems like, I guess Cutler and Osiris may be the tag team now to represent Dark State to try to get the tag titles back. So here we go. And then NXT newest superstar Lizzie Rain debuts against Nikita Lyons, and it was actually a pretty good showing for Lizzie. I had a feeling that I was gonna kind of like her character. You know, she's the heavy metal hard rock chick, and she kind of has a nice little hard hitting style. Like, she has a refreshing energy that I think it kind of needs to, especially in the women's division. And I love her finisher and the name of her finisher. Now, if y'all remember, when Seiko, the final boss, was in NXT, and how she did the oh my god, did she call it the katana? Where the opponent was like on their knees and she kind of ran up there. She kind of like ran up them and then kind of hit like a axe kick to like the dome. She kind of does something like that, but the opponent is standing and it's like a knee to the dome. And she calls it the thunderstruck. And it was like, yeah, Nikita got thunderstruck. Now, another thing. What they gonna do with Nikita? I feel like Nikita is just so all over the place. I feel like if they really want to do something with Nikita at this point, it's almost kind of a now or never situation. That's just me. I won't bet her for Big Cat Keita, as she calls herself, but I'm just a fan from the stands. That's at home, because I don't live in Orlando. That was sadness in my voice. But yes, Lizzie Rain, unless something happens, I definitely see them potentially making her either North American champ or women's champ, possibly sometime later on in the year. Depending on how the crowd fully takes to her, I can see it happening. With the personality and everything, I could definitely see it happening for Lizzie, 100%. Then we get to a segment where Miles Bourne is kind of backstage and Tavion comes up there, and Miles is kind of like, Tavion, what's that with you attacking Tony D and everything? And he was like, look, they told us we had to make moments and make impacts, big dog, and that's what I went out there and did. And, you know, Bourne was kind of still a little like, this ain't our way, Tavion, kind of energy. And Tavion was like, pretty much, you got your belt, I'm trying to get mine. And then he turns, Keanu Carver is there, and Keanu was like, look, I keep trying to, like I told Tony D, there's a bunch of sharks now in the water, but I'm the great white around here. So, yeah. And then he just leaves. Then we get a Vanity Project segment. All this led to is that next week, Jackson Drake is going to take on Jasper Troy. Yeah. Then we get that Kalani and Ren Sinclair match. And to be fair, they probably should have did it for the championship. I can see why they didn't, but they probably should have did it for the championship. All in all, it did lead to Kalani winning. You know, the way she kept attacking Ren and everything, when Ren was going for the final wrench, she couldn't fully grasp the submission hold because of the knee. And from that, Kalani was able to capitalize and eventually hits her one-of-a-kind moonsault. Bam. Kalani gets that dub. We do get a Zarya segment, and pretty much with Zarya, she's pretty much like, look, now I done got soul behind me and all this other good stuff. The girl is coming for some gold kind of energy. Like, let's just put it in perspective. Your girl is coming for gold. Then we get that main event. Richard Saints, Shiloh Hill. And remember, it stemmed from NXT Revenge week 1 when Ricky was supposed to be out there to help Ethan Page win. Shiloh kind of hog-tied Ricky up and dragged him out. Ricky was like, okay, he trying to make a fool out of me kind of energy. You know, last week, Ricky Saints did beat up Shiloh in the back, and here we are. And to be fair, these gentlemen gave a pretty decent match. Especially, and also to be fair, as a wrestling fan, I miss the days where you would get a great TV match. Like, you didn't have to wait till the PLEs or the pay-per-views to get a good TV match. It was like, hey, these two random superstars just decided to have a banger on a random Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. That's a lot of wrestling. But yeah, like, I know it still happens, don't get me wrong, but okay, sometimes in WWE's case, it's fewer and far between than it is on the other side of things. But these two gentlemen had a pretty solid match. Ricky tried to pull some shenanigans. Shiloh was kept thwarting it. Ultimately, it led to Ricky was trying to do his tightrope walk, and he kept grandstanding too much. Shiloh reversed it. Eventually, Shiloh hit the whisper to the beast, and Shiloh gets the dub. And once again, with Shiloh getting that dub, Ricky is supposed to debut on SmackDown this week. So hey, Ricky, thank you for your service. Thank you for your service, good sir. You know, former North American champ, former NXT champ. Thank you for your service. I mean, to be fair, Ricky and Tony D were the only men to ever best over Femi. You know, just throwing it up there, putting it out there. Tony D and Ricky Saints were the only men to ever beat Oba when Oba was in NXT. Just putting it out there. So yeah, just to run it down again: Ethan Page, Sol Ruka, Joe Hendry, Monday Night Raw, Fatal Influence, Blake Monroe, Ricky Saints is on SmackDown, and now we're in this new era of NXT. And the ending moments of the show was Tony D going back into the room where Matt Bloom, Robert Stone, and HBK was at, and pretty much he gets in HBK's face saying, you know, oh, this is what we're doing now with NXT. And HBK was like, hey, you're the champ. It's time for you to prove yourself. And he was like, well, with all this chaos, I fucking love it. You know, bring it on. And he actually did say that, but you know, of course they bleeped it. But he was like, bring it on. So we in this new era of NXT, but hey, let us know in the comments down below what you feel about this new era of NXT and where it's gonna go from here. You know, we got Evil coming in. I mean, the wrestler Evil, not like a sinister dark force of evil. The wrestler Evil. And we have all of these call-ups from LFG and Evolve coming up. So it's definitely make or break time in NXT now. Without the access to those superstars that we had. So this is definitely going to be make or break for a lot of this talent to see how many of them can truly hold their own and become next up to get to Raw or SmackDown. So we shall see, peeps. But whether you love it or hate it, don't forget to rate it thumbs up, thumbs down. Leave all of your likes. Leave all the comments down below. Make sure you share it with your people. If you haven't already, tag that subscribe button, tag that notification bell if you hadn't already. And shout outs to Lip Dizzle, Jaeger Bum Bastard, Leo, and Juggs. And shout outs to y'all out there. And before I go, remember, love one another, love yourself, take care of one another, and take care of yourself. You beautiful, beautiful people out there. And lastly, don't forget to tag out. Peace.
Free fall as I dive through the kaleidoscope in my mind. No rope up to climb. Gotta remind myself that I'm fine. Mama